She sat at a reserved hotel room by mistake, and the wealthy CEO refused to let her walk away. The dinner progressed with surprising ease until his phone rang. His expression darkened as he answered, eyes never leaving her face. Have you ever been accused of something you didn't do? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. The key card worked perfectly until she realized she was standing in the wrong man's suite, face to face with Chicago's most powerful billionaire. Maya Thompson slipped off her shoes, sighing as her feet sank into plush carpet. After a 12-hour shift at Chicago Memorial, the luxurious Grand Lakes hotel room felt like heaven. The front desk clerk had upgraded her. At least that's what she thought until she noticed the champagne chilling in ice, the stunning skyline view, and a dinner table set for someone clearly not her. Oh no, she whispered, gathering her things. Too late. The door swung open. A tall figure filled the frame, piercing blue eyes narrowing as they landed on her. Ethan Cole, tech mogul, billionaire, and apparently the rightful occupant, stepped inside, closing the door behind him with a soft click. "You're in my room," he said, voice low and controlled. Maya fumbled with her keycard. "I'm so sorry. There must have been a mix-up at the desk. I'll go immediately." Instead of moving aside, he slid the bolt locked. Rain lashed against floor-to-ceiling windows, city lights blurring into watercolor streaks as Chicago's skyline disappeared into storm clouds. His gaze traveled her body with unhurried assessment, taking in her wrinkled scrubs, messy ponytail, and exhausted eyes. "Interesting timing," he said, circling her like a predator. "Most people who break into my rooms are better dressed. I didn't break in. The key worked." His mouth curved slightly. "Indeed it did. And you just happened to be assigned the presidential suite." When he locked the door instead of calling security, Maya knew she should feel afraid. Instead, she felt something far more dangerous: curiosity. Have you ever found yourself somewhere you absolutely should not be? That moment when your stomach drops and you realize you've made a terrible mistake? Tell me in the comments if you've ever been caught somewhere you weren't supposed to be. She had planned to spend the night alone with room service and Netflix. Instead, she was sharing champagne with a man who could buy the entire hotel with a phone call. "Sit," Ethan commanded, gesturing to the dining table. "Since you're already here, you might as well join me." Maya clutched her purse. "I should really go in this storm? With no reservation?" He raised an eyebrow, pouring champagne into 2 flutes. "If you leave, I'll make 1 call and the hotel will mysteriously lose your booking. Chicago's booked solid for the medical conference." The storm rattled the windows as if confirming his threat. "That's blackmail," Maya said, reluctantly sitting. "I prefer negotiation. I'm curious about the woman who accidentally ended up in my suite." His eyes caught hers. "Drink. It's Dom Perignon, not poison." The champagne fizzed on her tongue as lightning transformed Chicago into a light show, illuminating the sharp angles of his face and the wary glint in her eyes. "You're a nurse," he observed, noticing her scrubs. "Traveling nurse. From Atlanta, a long way from home." Their fingers brushed as he passed her a plate, sending an electric current up her arm. Despite her suspicion, she couldn't deny his magnetic pull. His presence commanded the room like gravity. The dinner progressed with surprising ease until his phone rang. His expression darkened as he answered, eyes never leaving her face. "When?" he asked the caller. "And you're certain?" His gaze hardened as he said her name, Maya Thompson, like it was evidence in a crime. "Interesting coincidence that you show up tonight of all nights." The champagne turned sour in her stomach. "Would you stay for dinner with a stranger who could either be your greatest adventure or biggest mistake? Drop a heart if you take the risk, or comment what you'd do differently." She came to Chicago to save lives, not to become a suspect in corporate espionage with a billionaire as her judge and jury. "You think I'm involved in corporate theft?" Maya stood, knocking her chair back. "I don't even know what your company does." Ethan remained seated, dangerously calm. "Cole Technologies. Cybersecurity and medical data systems. Someone leaked proprietary algorithms worth billions to our competitor today. using credentials stolen from this very suite. He tilted his head. And here you are. That's insane. I arrived in Chicago this morning. Yet the timing is perfect. The storm has grounded all flights, closed major roads. Police can't get here for hours. He studied her like a puzzle. Either you're the boldest corporate spy I've encountered, or you're being set up. Either way, you're not leaving. Outside, Chicago's streets flooded as the storm unleashed its fury. Inside, tension crackled between them like the lightning splitting the sky. Check my credentials, Maya challenged, pulling out her hospital ID. Call the nursing board. My shift records. Already happening, he replied, gesturing to his laptop. My team is investigating while we wait. He circled behind her chair, his breath brushing her neck, making her pulse jump. Strange that someone with your exact name accessed sensitive files hours before you mysteriously appeared in my suite. Maya fought the shiver his proximity caused. I was saving a teenager from a car accident at that exact time. 20 witnesses can confirm. A perfect alibi, he murmured, close enough that she could smell his cologne, sandalwood, and something uniquely his. Check my credentials, she challenged, stepping close enough that he could count her eyelashes. I'm many things, Mr. Cole, but I'm not a liar. His lips curved. Not quite a smile, not quite a threat. Oh, I plan to check everything about you, Miss Thompson. Have you ever been accused of something you didn't do? That helpless feeling when someone won't believe your truth? Share your experience below. How did you convince them? While Chicago drowned under record rainfall, he dissected her life with phone calls and algorithms, searching for proof she was either innocent or an exceptional con artist. Your mother is a retired schoolteacher in Atlanta. Your father died of pancreatic cancer when you were 12. You graduated top of your class at Emory Nursing School. Ethan read from his laptop screen. 3 years in emergency medicine before becoming a traveling nurse. Maya wrapped the hotel blanket tighter around her shoulders. Congratulations on your stalking skills. Basic background check. His eyes narrowed. The question is, who would use your identity as cover for corporate theft? The suite felt smaller as night deepened, luxury transforming into a gilded cage with each passing hour. Rain pounded relentlessly, trapping them together until morning at minimum. You need to sleep, he finally said, checking his watch. Take the bedroom. And let you watch me all night? No thanks. I'll take the couch. The bedroom door locks from inside. Their standoff lasted 30 seconds before exhaustion won. Fine. But if you try anything, you'll what? Stab me with a ballpoint pen? His mouth quirked. You're not exactly intimidating, nurse. The hot shower washed away 12 hours of hospital grime, but did nothing for her frayed nerves. Wrapped in the hotel's plush robe, she emerged to find Ethan setting up makeshift bedding on the sofa. He looked up, his expression changing subtly at the sight of her damp hair and bare legs beneath the robe. For a heartbeat, they weren't captor and captive, just a man and woman alone in a storm-shrouded room, acutely aware of each other. Good night, Mr. Cole, she said, retreating behind the bedroom door. Ethan, he corrected. If we're spending the night together, you might as well use my first name. Morning light revealed two things. The storm had paralyzed Chicago's streets, and someone had accessed Ethan's private servers using credentials stolen from the hotel room where Maya now stood. When was the last time someone judged you before knowing your story? How did you prove them wrong? Let me know in the comments if you've ever changed someone's first impression of you. 12 hours ago, she was his prime suspect. Now she was his only alibi, and possibly his only protection against whoever was framing them both. Look at this. Ethan turned his laptop screen toward Maya. Someone used your nursing credentials to access patient data from Chicago Memorial, then used that access to infiltrate my company's medical research division. Maya studied the screen, still clutching her coffee mug. That's impossible. My login wouldn't have clearance for anything beyond patient charts, unless someone elevated your privileges internally. His fingers flew across the keyboard. Which means the real thief works at the hospital, she finished. Their eyes met in mutual realization. We need to leave, Ethan said, already packing his laptop. If they know you're with me, you're no longer useful as a scapegoat. You're a liability. I can't just disappear. I have a shift tomorrow. You won't make it to tomorrow if whoever's behind this decides to tie up loose ends. He tossed designer clothes onto the bed, tag still attached. Put these on. We're leaving through the service entrance. The hotel corridors felt endless as they navigated through employee-only areas. Maya uncomfortable in borrowed Prada and oversized sunglasses. In the service elevator, close quarters forced them together, his arm brushing hers with each floor they descended. Where are we going? She whispered. My penthouse. It's the only secure location in the city. You expect me to go home with you? After you practically held me hostage? He adjusted her scarf with lingering fingers, sending warmth cascading down her neck. Unless you prefer waiting for whoever used your identity to find you first. Chicago streets remained flooded, abandoned cars creating islands and intersections. His private driver navigated carefully through back routes while Ethan made calls, his voice low and urgent. Maya stared out the window, reality sinking in. Her fingerprints were all over a crime scene she'd stumbled into by accident. Her identity was compromised, and her only protection was a man who'd suspected her of theft hours earlier. She stepped into his private car, every instinct screaming this was either the smartest or deadliest decision of her life. Would you trust someone who suspected you of a crime if they suddenly became your only hope? What does it take for you to give someone a second chance? Share your thoughts below about trusting someone who once doubted you. His penthouse stood 60 floors above Chicago, all steel and glass, and impossible views. A perfect trap disguised as protection. The elevator required both a keycard and fingerprint scan before ascending to the top floor. When the doors opened, Maya stepped into another world. Minimalist furniture in grays and blacks occupied precise positions against floor-to-ceiling windows that made Chicago look like a miniature display beneath them. Security system is military-grade, Ethan explained, deactivating alarms with his phone. No one gets in without my authorization. Including me when I want to leave? Maya asked pointedly. He actually smiled, a quick, genuine flash that transformed his face. The door locks from inside. You're not a prisoner, Maya. Sunset painted his apartment in gold and crimson, wealth displayed not in flashy objects, but in the calculated elegance of negative space and carefully chosen art. Guest room is through there. Bathroom attached. Help yourself to anything in the kitchen. He was already heading to his office. I need to track whoever's using your credentials. Maya stood awkwardly in his living room until curiosity won. She explored cautiously. The kitchen with its untouched appliances, the balcony with its dizzying drop to the street below, the bookshelf filled with engineering texts, and, surprisingly, classic literature. Hours later, she found herself working beside him, her medical knowledge providing unexpected insights as they traced the data breach together. The access patterns match hospital shift changes, she pointed out, leaning over his shoulder. See, activity spikes during handoffs when the systems are most vulnerable. Ethan nodded, acutely aware of her proximity. That narrows our suspect pool considerably. They worked through dinner, ordered in, extensively vetted, through evening and into night. Around 2 a.m., Maya's head drooped against his shoulder as fatigue finally claimed her. Ethan stiffened, then carefully adjusted to support her weight. Something protective stirred in him, unfamiliar and unwelcome. He should wake her, send her to the guest room. Instead, his arm slipped around her shoulders as algorithms ran on the screen before them. The program finished running at 3 a.m., highlighting a name that made Ethan freeze. Alexander Hayes, his mentor, his friend, practically his father. Impossible, he whispered, but the evidence glowed accusingly on the screen. Maya stirred against him, blinking sleepily at the display. She touched his arm, her voice soft. Sometimes the people closest to us hide the darkest secrets. Have you ever seen someone's private space and instantly understood them better? What secrets do your living spaces reveal about you? Comment below with what your home says about your personality. Trust was a luxury neither could afford, yet survival demanded they risk exactly that. Hayes took me under his wing when I was 22, Ethan explained, pacing the length of his living room as dawn broke over the city. Back my first startup when everyone else laughed me out of meetings. He's been like family. Maya curled her legs beneath her on the couch. Family can hurt you worst of all. Spoken from experience? She stared out at the lightening sky. My father dying wasn't the tragedy. It was watching my mother work 3 jobs afterward because he'd gambled away their savings. The man she trusted most left us with nothing but debt and broken promises. Ethan stopped pacing. Is that why you became a nurse? Security? I became a nurse because I watched one hold my mother's hand when the debt collectors called. She was the only person who showed kindness without wanting something in return. Maya met his eyes. Not everyone has an agenda, Ethan. In my world, everyone does. Maybe you've been in the wrong world. Dawn broke over Chicago, painting the skyline in watercolor hues that matched the bruised shadows under their eyes after a sleepless night of revelations. The breakthrough came mid-morning. Emails between Hayes and someone using an encrypted address discussing the nurse and containment protocols. They're not just stealing data, Maya realized. They're using my identity as a scapegoat if things go wrong. Ethan's jaw tightened. We need hard evidence before confronting Hayes. He's too powerful to accuse without proof. The confined space of the penthouse made avoiding each other impossible. By evening, they'd established an uneasy rhythm, working together, sharing meals, circling each other with growing awareness that had nothing to do with corporate espionage. It happened after dinner, analyzing hospital access logs. Their hands brushed, reaching for the same document. Instead of pulling away, they froze, electricity crackling between them. This is a terrible idea, Maya whispered as he leaned closer. Absolutely, he agreed, before his lips claimed hers with hunger that matched her own. His hands tangled in her hair as she grabbed his shirt, pulling him closer. The kiss tasted of coffee and adrenaline and fear, because both knew this complicated everything. When they broke apart, breathless, reality crashed back. Her phone rang, Atlanta Memorial Hospital's emergency number. Her mother had been admitted after a suspicious accident. They're sending a message, Ethan said, voice hard. They know exactly who you are. When have you crossed a line you promised yourself you wouldn't? Was it worth the risk? Share your experience with following your heart, even when your head said no. She boarded his private jet with 2 certainties. Someone wanted to silence her, and the man beside her was either her salvation or her downfall. My mother never falls, Maya repeated, gripping the leather armrest as the plane taxied down the runway. She's 62, but moves like she's 40. This wasn't an accident. Ethan covered her hand with his. My security team is already at the hospital. No one gets near her without clearance. The sleek jet lifted into clouds, carrying them from Chicago's glass towers toward Atlanta's sprawling greenery. Maya stared out the window, mind racing between fear for her mother and awareness of Ethan beside her, their kiss still burning on her lips despite more urgent concerns. Hayes has contacts throughout the medical industry, Ethan explained, showing her documents on his tablet. He's been acquiring healthcare startups for years, including data management systems for Atlanta Memorial. Maya's eyes widened. The same hospital where my mother was admitted? Nothing's coincidence anymore. The confined space of the private jet made avoiding each other impossible. Their shoulders touched with every movement, each accidental contact sending warmth through Maya's skin despite her worry. Tell me about your mother, Ethan said softly, an hour into the flight. Maya smiled despite herself. Viola Thompson, taught 3rd grade for 30 years. Can make sweet potato pie that would make you weep. Raised me alone after Dad died. Never complained once. She sounds remarkable. She is, and she's all I have. His hand found hers again, a silent promise. Maya studied his profile. The man who'd suspected her of theft, now flying across the country to protect her family. Trust felt dangerous, but its absence felt worse. Atlanta welcomed them with humid heat that clung like a second skin, the air heavy with magnolia and danger as they stepped from climate-controlled luxury into sweltering reality. The hospital corridors echoed with familiar sounds, Beeping monitors, squeaking shoes, hushed conversations. Maya moved with professional efficiency, Ethan close behind, until they reached room 412. Maya froze in the hospital doorway, blood draining from her face. Sitting beside her mother's bed, holding her hand with practiced concern, was Alexander Hayes, the very man whose name had appeared in their investigation. "Maya, darling," her mother called weakly. "This wonderful man has been keeping me company." Hayes turned, smiling with perfect charm, eyes meeting Ethan's with a flash of recognition neither Maya nor her mother caught. Who would you trust to meet your family in a crisis? What does it take for someone to earn that privilege? Drop a heart in the comments if you've ever had to introduce someone important during a difficult time. The man who might have ordered her mother's accident was now sitting in her childhood home, drinking sweet tea and charming her family like the devil himself. "Ethan, what a surprise." Hayes rose to embrace him, clapping his back with paternal affection. "You didn't mention you knew our Maya." "Our Maya." The possessive made her skin crawl. "Recent acquaintance," Ethan replied smoothly. "When I heard about Mrs. Thompson's accident, I offered my plane." Maya busied herself adjusting her mother's pillows, fighting to keep her expression neutral. Viola Thompson, propped up with a cast on her arm and bruises flowering across her collarbone, beamed at them both. "Alexander has been so kind," her mother gushed. "Arranged for the best specialists, upgraded my room. Such a gentleman." Maya caught Ethan's imperceptible tension as Hayes placed a gentle hand on Viola's shoulder. "Least I could do for the mother of such a valuable healthcare professional." After visiting hours ended, Hayes insisted on driving them to Maya's childhood home. No need for hotels when family's around, making refusal impossible without raising suspicion. Georgia's sunset filtered through lace curtains her grandmother had made, casting patterned shadows across faces hiding secrets behind southern smiles and practiced courtesy. "Beautiful home," Hayes commented, examining family photos on the mantel. "You must have wonderful memories here, Maya." "Every corner holds a story," she replied, watching him too closely. Her mother's fall meant they'd be sharing the house, Ethan taking the guest room, Maya in her childhood bedroom. After helping Viola to bed, they convened in the kitchen, voices lowered. "He's playing us," Maya whispered fiercely, acting concerned while probably ordering the accident himself. Ethan leaned against the counter. "We need evidence. If we accuse him without proof, he'll destroy us both." Later, forced to strategize in her childhood bedroom. Pink walls and honor roll certificates, creating an absurd backdrop for discussions of corporate espionage. Maya felt reality splitting in two. Ethan looked ridiculously out of place, sitting on her twin bed, his designer clothes against her faded quilt. "We search his phone," she decided. "He'll have communications with whoever accessed the systems." Ethan's proximity in the small room made concentrating difficult, memories of their kiss intruding despite the danger surrounding them. Hayes embraced Ethan at the door the next morning, whispering just loud enough for Maya to hear. "You always did have excellent taste, son. But this one's more dangerous than she looks." As he walked to his car, Maya's phone chimed with a text from an unknown number. Asked him about Singapore. "Have you ever had to pretend everything was normal while danger sat at your table? How do you keep your cool when everything's at stake? Share your best advice for staying calm under pressure." Every relationship has secrets, but most don't involve billions of dollars, corporate espionage, and a trail of convenient accidents. Singapore was supposed to be my breakthrough. Ethan confessed that night on the porch swing, moonlight casting shadows across his face. "My first major startup, medical record software that could save lives in developing countries." Maya wrapped her cardigan tighter against the Georgia night chill. "What happened?" 2 days before launch, someone stole our code and patient data. Investors pulled out, company collapsed. His voice hardened. Hayes swooped in, bought the remains for pennies, then magically solved the security flaws. "He sabotaged you? His own protege?" "I couldn't prove it. He offered me a position afterward. Said he rescued me from failure." The porch swing creaked rhythmically as decades-old wounds were finally exposed to healing air. That's why you suspected me so quickly, Maya realized. You've been betrayed before. Their research continued in her childhood bedroom, laptop screens illuminating determined faces as they pieced together Hayes' elaborate scheme. Not just data theft, but patient record manipulation that could cost lives. He's testing experimental treatments without consent, Maya whispered, horrified as she decoded medical files. Using vulnerable patients as guinea pigs, then altering their records to hide complications. Ethan's eyes met hers across the desk. Including your mother? The question hung between them, terrible in its implications. Night deepened around the house, cicadas creating a symphony outside the windows. The weight of discovery pressed them together. Two people who'd been strangers days ago, now sharing a burden too heavy for either alone. Maya traced the scar on Ethan's shoulder, evidence of Singapore's betrayal, with lips that promised different intentions. "Let me replace bad memories with better ones," she whispered against the skin. That night, they created a new history together, one marked not by business or betrayal, but by bodies finding truth where words had failed. His hands memorized her curves as her sighs formed a new language between them. Every touch erased another doubt. Every kiss built another layer of trust. Afterward, tangled in childhood sheets, Maya watched moonlight paint Ethan's face in silver. The man who'd locked her in a hotel room now held her heart with equal power, terrifying yet somehow right. Dawn found them still entwined, until Ethan's security system blared an alert. Someone had accessed his Chicago servers again, from Maya's laptop, which sat closed and untouched across the room. When has physical connection helped you heal emotional wounds? Is vulnerability the greatest risk or the greatest courage? Comment below about a time when opening your heart changed everything. Someone wanted them to find the truth, or was creating an elaborate trap disguised as revelations. It's impossible. Maya stared at her untouched laptop. I haven't even opened it since we arrived. Ethan was already tracing the breach, fingers flying across his keyboard. Remote access. Sophisticated. They wanted us to see this. The screen filled with files, patient records, experimental drug trials, financial transfers, each document more damning than the last. All connected to Hayes' medical initiatives, all accessed using Maya's credentials. He's leaving us evidence, Maya whispered. But why? Because it's not Hayes, Ethan realized. Someone wants us to think it's him. Georgia rain drummed against the windows as they worked, digital clues unfurling across screens like coded messages only they could decipher together. Maya's medical knowledge, combined with Ethan's tech expertise, created a formidable investigative team. Their shoulders pressed together as they hunched over laptops, each casual touch now charged with awareness after the night they'd shared. Maya caught him watching her instead of the screen more than once, his expression softening before returning to the task. Look at this patient list, Maya pointed, their fingers brushing. All women, similar ages and conditions to my mother. All suffering accidents after routine appointments. Human trials, Ethan confirmed grimly. Unauthorized testing disguised as standard treatment. They tracked communications, financial records, and medical files through the afternoon and into evening. Maya moved with growing confidence in their partnership, no longer intimidated by Ethan's wealth or power. Not after seeing his vulnerability in the dark, feeling his heart race against hers. There's a shell company, she discovered around midnight, excitement making her grab his arm, funneling money from Hayes Industries to offshore accounts, then back to medical facilities for experimental treatments. Ethan leaned closer, studying the account names. Not Hayes Industries, Hayes Family Trust. There's a difference. What difference? Hayes Industries is public. The family trust is private, controlled by his heirs. Maya's eyes widened as connections formed. He has children, one daughter, Emily, Harvard MBA, passed over repeatedly for leadership positions. Ethan's face darkened with realization, always in her father's shadow. The final document downloaded at midnight, evidence of someone systematically destroying whistleblowers from Ethan's company for years, including a former nurse who disappeared 3 months ago. Maya's hand found Ethan's in the dark. "We're not just solving your corporate theft," she whispered. "We're tracking a predator." Have you ever worked so closely with someone that you began to think as one unit? When did you realize connection went beyond physical? Share your experience of finding a perfect partner in solving life's challenges. They returned to Chicago not as suspects and strangers, but as partners with a mission, trapped the person who'd built an empire on buried bodies. Maya stared out the private jet window, watching Georgia shrink beneath them. Leaving her mother felt wrong, but Hayes's daily visits made staying impossible. At least Ethan's security team remained, disguised as home health nurses. If Emily Hayes is behind this, why frame her father? Maya asked, turning from the window. "The perfect revenge," Ethan replied. "She destroys his reputation while taking control of the company. He built his legacy on stealing others' work, including mine. She's using his own methods against him." Their plan took shape during the flight. Return to Chicago, use Maya as bait to draw Emily out, gather conclusive evidence, then expose everything to the board and authorities. "She won't suspect we know about her," Maya said. "She thinks we're chasing her father." Ethan's jaw tightened. "That makes you the perfect target." His hand covered hers, their fingers intertwining with newfound familiarity. 5 days ago, they'd been strangers in a hotel mix-up. Now, they shared secrets, strategy, and something deeper neither dare name. Chicago welcomed them with steel indifference, skyscrapers reaching toward clouds heavy with anticipation, the city unaware of the war about to be waged in its glass towers. The plan required Maya to approach Hayes Industries as a whistleblower, claiming evidence about patient data misuse, evidence Alexander Hayes would want contained immediately. Emily will intercept the meeting request, Ethan predicted as they prepared in his penthouse. She's monitoring all communications about the data breach. Maya nodded, adjusting the hidden recording device. And when she does, we'll have proof of her involvement. The night before their operation, urgency and fear pushed them together again. They came together with desperate honesty, memorizing each curve and sound and taste. "If something happens tomorrow," she breathed against his neck, "remember this moment. Remember us exactly like this." His response was to kiss her deeper, as if he could imprint himself on her soul. His hands traced her body with reverence and hunger, creating memories to sustain them through whatever came next. Morning arrived too quickly. Maya dressed in borrowed business attire, Ethan helping her adjust the recording equipment hidden beneath her blazer. "The moment you have confirmation, you leave," he insisted. "My team will be monitoring everything. If anything feels wrong, I know the extraction points." She kissed him quickly. "Trust me, CEO. I've handled worse than corporate sharks." The plan was set, roles assigned, contingencies established. But as Maya stepped into the elevator of Hayes Industries alone, playing bait for their trap, her earpiece crackled with Ethan's panicked voice. "Abort! Maya, get out now. It's not Emily, it's..." Static cut him off as the doors closed, leaving her alone, ascending toward whatever waited above. What would you be willing to risk for justice? For the truth? For someone you've come to care about in just days? Share your thoughts about what makes a cause worth fighting for. The same hotel keycard that accidentally brought them together now unlocked the executive floor where someone waited to tear them apart. Maya's heart hammered as the elevator climbed past floor 50, her earpiece still producing nothing but static. Something had gone wrong. Ethan's warning cut off too abruptly. The executive floor gleamed with wealth and power. Marble floors, abstract art, and floor-to-ceiling windows displaying Chicago like a kingdom below. A receptionist directed her to conference room A, smiling with practiced hospitality that never reached her eyes. "Ms. Thompson, they're expecting you." They, plural. The plan had been to meet one-on-one. Maya straightened her borrowed blazer, feeling the recording device press against her ribs. No turning back now. She pushed open the heavy door, stepping into the trap with eyes wide open. The boardroom gleamed with polished mahogany and hidden motives. Windows showcasing Chicago spread below, like a kingdom waiting to be claimed, or a long fall into oblivion. Alexander Hayes stood at the head of the table, smile benevolent and eyes calculating. "Maya, what a pleasant surprise." "Mr. Hayes." She forced a nervous smile. "Thank you for meeting me on such short notice. Any friend of Ethan's deserves my full attention." He gestured to a chair. "Please sit." Maya surveyed the room, noting security cameras, possible exits, the distance to the door. No sign of Emily Hayes. No sign of anyone else at all. "I was told this would be a private meeting," she ventured, remaining standing. "It is." Hayes' smile never wavered. "Just you, me, and the unfortunate truth about your involvement in corporate espionage." He pressed a button on the table. A screen descended from the ceiling, displaying footage of Maya entering Ethan's hotel suite the night they met, edited to appear deliberate rather than accidental. "Quite convincing," Hayes continued pleasantly. "You accessing his room, his files. Your credentials all over our systems." "That's doctored footage," Maya replied, her nurse's training keeping her voice steady despite her racing pulse. "You know I was assigned that room by mistake." "Doi." Hayes tilted his head. "Because it looks remarkably like Ethan Cole's latest attempt to undermine my company, using you as his pawn." The accusation struck like a physical blow. "Where is Ethan now?" "Detained, discussing his poor choice of corporate spies with security." Hayes sighed dramatically. "Such a shame. He had such potential before his obsession with revenge consumed him." Maya edged toward the door, calculating her chances. "You're framing us both." "No, my dear." The door opened behind her. "That would be me." Emily Hayes entered, elegant in a tailored suit that matched her father's, carrying a small handgun pointed directly at Maya's chest. "I've been waiting to meet you properly," Emily said, closing the door with her free hand. The nurse who captivated Chicago's most eligible bachelor in record time. The gun wavered in her attacker's hand. "You were supposed to be a simple distraction for Ethan," she said, "not the solution to the puzzle." Outside, sirens wailed closer. Inside, Maya calculated her odds of reaching the door before the trigger was pulled. "He's on his way up right now, isn't he?" Emily asked, smile twisting. "Perfect. 2 birds, 1 bullet. Have you ever discovered that someone you trusted was wearing a mask all along? How did you handle that betrayal? Share your experience with recognizing someone's true face." The 60-floor view from Hayes Industries showed all of Chicago, including the police surrounding the building and the man fighting his way up to her. "Emily," Alexander Hayes' voice sharpened. "What are you doing?" Emily's laugh cut through the tension. "Playing your game, father. Just better than you ever did." Understanding dawned on Hayes' face. "The data breach. The patient trials. That was you, using your access, your passwords, your methods." Emily's focus remained on Maya, gun steady. "You taught me everything, including how to take what I deserve. By framing your own father." Hayes stepped toward his daughter. "Emily, put the gun down. We can fix this." "Fix it?" Emily's composure fractured, her perfect corporate mask crumbling to reveal the rage of a woman who'd watched men claim credit for her work her entire life. "You passed me over for CEO 3 times. Brought in outsiders instead of your own daughter." Maya inched toward the conference table, watching the family drama unfold while searching for escape options. Her earpiece crackled. Ethan was back online, whispering that police were entering the building. "You needed more experience," Hayes placated. "I needed recognition." Emily's voice rose. "I built the patient data system. I developed the experimental protocols. I created everything while you took the credit." Lightning split the Chicago sky as Emily's composure similarly fractured. Maya caught Hayes' gaze, a silent communication passing between them. They needed to stall until help arrived. "What about Ethan?" Maya asked, drawing Emily's attention back to her. "Why target him?" "Because father respected him more than me." Emily's bitterness filled the room. Golden boy Ethan, with his humanitarian goals and perfect reputation. Even after Singapore, you still mentored him. "Singapore was your doing too," Hayes whispered, horrified. "My first attempt to prove I was better." Emily's smile turned cruel, but he recovered too quickly, built something even greater. So I had to destroy him completely this time. Maya recognized the dangerous look in Emily's eyes, the calm before violence she'd seen in emergency rooms too many times. She tensed, ready to move. "And your mother's accident?" Maya asked quietly. "Was that necessary?" "Collateral damage." Emily shrugged. "Nothing personal." The boardroom door burst open just as Emily swung the gun toward her father. The gunshot echoed through the room. Blood bloomed across designer fabric. A body fell, as Chicago's lights blurred through tears. "Maya!" Ethan's voice broke as he rushed forward, unsure if he was too late. Her eyes fluttered open, her voice barely audible. "I knew you'd come." Security officers surrounded Emily, who lay wounded but conscious, her father kneeling beside her despite his own injury. Behind them, Emily Hayes laughed through her own pain. "How touching. But did you really think it would be that easy to walk away? This isn't over. Not by a long shot. Have you ever been underestimated because of who you are? How did you reclaim your power? Tell me about a time when you proved someone wrong who thought less of you." 1 year ago, a hotel mix-up nearly cost them their lives. Today, they checked into the presidential suite together, this time intentionally. "Are you sure about this?" Maya asked, watching Ethan sign the guest registration at the Grand Lakes Hotel. "We could stay anywhere in Chicago." "Closure," he replied simply, accepting the key card, to the same suite where they'd first met. The past year had transformed them both. Emily Hayes faced multiple charges, her father turning state's evidence in exchange for leniency. Hayes Industries underwent complete restructuring, with Ethan's company absorbing their legitimate medical technology division. Maya balanced her time between Chicago and Atlanta, continuing nursing while helping establish the Thompson Health Equity Initiative, a foundation ensuring quality healthcare for underserved communities, funded by the settlement from Hayes Industries. The presidential suite had been renovated since their first meeting, but the view remained unchanged, Chicago stretching before them. No longer a battlefield, but a testament to how far they'd come. "Remember how you looked at me that first night?" Ethan asked, closing the door behind them. "Like I might throw you out the window at any moment?" Maya left, dropping her overnight-speak. "You weren't exactly Prince Charming yourself. You're in my room." She mimicked his deep voice. "Best mistake the hotel ever made," he murmured, pulling her close. They'd learned each other's rhythms over months together. Her early mornings and his late nights, his need for precision and her instinct for compassion. The perfect balance they'd struck between two different worlds. Her mother had recovered fully, becoming the initiative's most passionate advocate. Ethan's company flourished with Maya's healthcare insights, guiding their medical security division. What began as suspicion had built something neither could have created alone. The Grand Lakes Hotel had been renovated since their first confrontation, but the skyline view remained exactly as it had been that stormy night. Now a backdrop to their shared future rather than a cage of mutual suspicion. He traced the small scar on her shoulder, remnant of that day in the boardroom, with reverent lips. Still scared of hotel mix-ups, he teased against her skin. Her answer was to push him onto the bed, straddling him with confident grace. "Depends on who I'm mixing it up with," she whispered, lowering herself to claim his mouth with the authority of a woman who knew exactly what room she belonged in. Later, wrapped in hotel sheets, much like their first night together, though under vastly different circumstances, Ethan reached for something in his jacket pocket. "I've been carrying this around for weeks," he admitted, producing a small velvet box. Waiting for the right moment, the ring caught Chicago's lights, diamond and sapphires gleaming like the city skyline. "A hotel room proposal?" Maya teased, eyes bright with emotion. "How original. It's where our story began," he replied, suddenly serious. "I'm not asking you to be mine. I'm asking if we could be each other's. Equal partners, building something neither of us could create alone." Maya's answer was in her kiss, in her whispered yes against his lips, in the future stretching before them. Built on a foundation neither had planned but both had chosen, room by room, day by day. The key card that once locked them in separate worlds now opened a door to their shared future. proof that sometimes the wrong room leads you to exactly the right person. What's the most unexpected way you've met someone who changed your life? Did you know in that first moment they would matter? Share your story in the comments. If this story of mistaken rooms and found hearts touched you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories about connections that form when we least expect them. Tell me in the comments which chapter resonated most with you. And remember, sometimes life's biggest mistakes lead to our greatest blessings.